Once again among the league's best, wrapping up a four-game weekend series. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell. With all the Sunday trappings of Mother's Day, Trey Turner and the Nationals are hot, trying to finish out a weekend sweep. Bryce ready to swing the axe against the curveball of Zach Godley, as you just heard. Paul Goldschmidt trying to get it heated up in May. We celebrate moms across the country as Major League Baseball plays in tonight. Your standings check at the start of play tonight. It's the Nationals at 23-18, just two back of the surprising Braves. Washington starts this night hot, and it's the Diamondbacks with not only the top spot in the NL West, but the best record in the National League. Alongside Jessica Mendoza, Alex Rodriguez, Buster Olney with us, Matt Vasgersian. The Washington Nationals are hot. They have handed these Diamondbacks their first series loss of the year. They have the best record in baseball over the last 3 weeks of the season, trying to finish off a weekend sweep tonight. And the Diamondbacks are doing it, or the Nationals rather, without their best player getting into the party.
Yeah, the Nationals played really well. Bryce Harper started the season like a rocket ship. He was a double threat, hitting home runs and walking. As of late, he's gone from hero to zero. But Martinez has played musical chairs, hitting them from third to leadoff. Tonight, he's hitting second, hoping to strike lightning in a bottle. But with the Nationals playing so well, all Harper has to do is get a good pitch to hit and have some fun.
Yeah, it's good news for Nationals fans when they're winning, as they are, without one of the best players in the league being a part of it. And a similar dialogue, Jess, exists around the Diamondbacks, right? Paul Goldschmidt is off to a inexplicably poor start, yet Arizona, with the best record in the league, has another superstar who's filled the void.
It's A.J. Pollock, and he is a star, Matt. And you think about his career, and he got going in 2015. He's been hurt the last couple years, and now he is having a season that's grabbing a lot of people's attention, but he should be someone that's known across the game nationally. Why? He's leading the National League in a ton of categories, especially slugging percentage. The power numbers are up. He was the National League Player of the Month, Player of the Week this last week. He leads this team who's winning the division offensively, and he's not only the best player on this team, but I think he's one of the best players in the National League.
Folks have already noticed, I'm sure, the pink trappings around tonight's game. It's been happening all over the league for years as Major League Baseball celebrates Mother's Day. From the nursery to the diamond, players around the league honor mom. We're back with the starting lineups and the opening pitch from Phoenix next. Bell's new Wild Naked Chicken Chalupa, and in part by the Walt Magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels and Nissan, innovation that excites. Back inside Chase Field, where the roof is close to start tonight. We're told it'll be opening in about an hour, which will present an unusual dynamic. Let's take a look at the Taco Bell starting lineup for the visiting and red-hot Washington Nationals.
Oh, I'm going to highlight their cleanup hitter, Matt Adams. When he signed with the Nationals, he was supposed to be a huge left-handed batter off the bench. Instead, he's been the catalyst in this offense, especially recently. This month alone, 7 home runs, 15 ribbies in those 12 games.
28-year-old right-hander Zach Godley on the mound for the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight, off to a 4-2 start in 2018. Coming off a win last time around at Los Angeles on Tuesday, and he has already defeated these Washington Nationals once this year as well. Ready for baseball tonight on Mother's Day in Phoenix. Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Howie Kendrick set to start us out tonight. First pitch of the night from Zach Godley is in for a strike. Turner digs in tonight, having reached base safely in 16 of his last 17 affairs. Trying to bunt his way aboard and falling behind 0-2. Well, as we talked about, Washington is hot. In fact, the last time these two teams faced each other, the Nats entered that game at their low water mark for the season at 11-16. And then Gio Gonzalez gave him a great start, and that seems to have been the jumping off point for a Washington team, again, that's got the best record in baseball over the last 3 weeks. And Dave Martinez, in his maiden voyage as a big league manager, is off to a great start in this month in particular. 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count from Zach Godley. Well, there's a lot to get into tonight. An Arizona team that still has the best record in the National League. A ballpark that is seeing fewer runs scored than ever before. And we'll roll up our sleeves on that topic as well. And from 0-2 to a full count now to Trey Turner.
An interesting pitcher tonight in Zach Godley. You're going to see his fastball, which we've seen already. He's got a sinker. They'll cut that pitch, and a changeup, and then a curveball that he throws second most in baseball behind Lance McCullers Jr.
3-2 pitch misses up and in, ball 4. He loses a leadoff hitter on the walk. Well, that'll bring in Bryce Harper. He got here in his 2 for 25 doldrums. Seems to be having a little bit more success over the weekend, 4 for 13 in this series. But as compared to how hot he was when we saw the Nationals last, it has been a complete turnaround over the last few weeks. The 12 home runs, still owns a share of the National League lead. And Harper makes his first plate appearance tonight with a runner aboard and nobody out. Washington, one of the few teams that still steals bases these days. And Turner's nabbed 12. He's off and running. First pitch to Harper's in for a strike. And now there's a runner in scoring position with nobody out.
And Trey Turner going on first move there. Godley not thinking about the base runner with Harper at the plate. Turner, nice job, nice anticipation.
It's crazy to think, too. I mean, they lead the majors in steals, but they haven't had a steal in the last 10 games. You're almost waiting for that next one, especially with a guy like Trey Turner on your team.
Oh, 0-1 to Harper, hit in the air out to shallow right center. And it's Chris Owings that makes the catch. You know, the Harper conversation's interesting right now, Alex, because as we know, he's in a big year, a free agent at season's end. You know there's pressure for him to post numbers. You know there's pressure for him to contribute. But on the other side of it is the fact that the Nationals are winning. And once Harper gets it going, once the wounded Nationals return to the mix, and that's a big part of their season, they can only shoot up even higher in the standings.
Yeah, that's right. And for Dave Martinez in the National, it has been musical chairs for Bryce Harper.
Here's Howie Kendrick now.
Who's hit all over the place. He started the season like a rocket ship, hitting third and hitting home runs and walking a lot. Started struggling a little bit. Then Martinez brought him to leadoff hitter, and now he's hitting number 2. I'd love to see Martinez put him and lock him in one spot, maybe third, and hit him there all year. Bring some stability to Harper.
Kendrick with a drive into the opposite field. That's going to drop in. Turner scores easily from second base, and the Nationals are on the board early tonight.
Leadoff walk. First pitch stolen base for Trey Turner, and nice hitting here for Howie Kendricks. Staying inside a curveball very nicely here and doing what he's done best for a long time, staying inside the ball and driving in runs.
You know, he's kind of that quiet guy on this team that really makes everything work. I mean, there's so many names in this lineup, even with the injuries, but Howie Kendrick has kind of been the one that when you look at the runs that they've scored, he's kind of in the midst of all of it, and it's not flashy. Even that last swing, it's a simple base hit. He plops into right field, but it gets him a ribby, it gets him on the board in the first inning.
It's hard for him to contain that smile. He had struggles with runners in scoring position this year, but able to cash in early tonight. Here's Matt Adams now. And Adams gets it darn near the roof.
I got it.
You can hear the very vocal Daniel Descalso call for it. We've heard a lot from Steven Souza already tonight as well, because he's wearing a microphone for us.
You guys want to say anything to your moms?
Love you, Mom.
I don't think you have to yell though. I think it just picks up.
Well, my mom's in South Carolina, so hey, Mom, you gotta yell out.
I think what it does is it goes up to the TV, and then you got to turn up the volume. That's what ends up happening.
That's great.
Yeah, Steven's all ready for his next career as an audio mixer in live sports TV production.
See, it goes to TV, and then they like always like, it's in South. My mom's in South Carolina, though. Gotta go a little louder.
A run in with 2 out and a man aboard, and that brings in Mark Reynolds, a familiar name to folks here in the desert. Spent the first 4 seasons of his career here as a Diamondback. Still ranks in the top 5 in franchise history on the all-time home run list. Hit a career high 44 here in 2009. And Reynolds has a base hit into the left. If we caught Howie Kendrick smiling earlier, Mark Reynolds is smiling bigger inside. Always good to do it against the former employer. There it is.
You know, I had a chance to play with Mark Reynolds, and he was drafted here in 2004, 16th round pick, and he's got as much power as any player I've played with. And big power, left center, right center. That's got to feel good.
That's saying a lot that he's got as much power as anyone you've played with. I mean, you've played with some sluggers.
Let me tell you, he's got sneaky power. He's not a huge guy, very strong, but the ball just jumps off his back.
Michael A. Taylor now. Taylor just 5 for his last 42. And the batting average has dipped under the 200 level. He's got 2 runners on, a chance to make this a very productive opening inning for Washington. We mentioned the players still on the disabled list for the Nationals, and it remains a big part of their season storyline to date. Ryan Zimmerman placed on the DL yesterday. Daniel Murphy still working his way back from offseason knee injury. Adam Eaton just hasn't been healthy enough to contribute the past 2 years. You have to feel for him. He has just had such bad luck. Brian Goodwin also on the shelf. But the players you mentioned, Jess, and speaking particularly of Kendrick and Adams, who we've seen this inning, they have stepped in and filled that void and done a really good job keeping the Washington lineup functional.
We get guys like Trey Turner that are consistently getting on base, especially of late, and when the big names are struggling to hit them in, And you get a guy like Adams, who's not even supposed to be an everyday guy, and now has turned into that, cashing in. And Michael Taylor's someone who's really been struggling as well, that I think they expect. And when he gets going, so even though it's not an injury, it's someone that he's not going to hit 190 all season long.
See that spike curveball that Zach Godley throws, and as Jess mentioned, he throws it a lot. It's a good one.
That's his signature pitch for Godley.
2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Michael Taylor. A run in with 2 away, 2 runners aboard. Chopper, high chopper. And Godley's got to hurry. Gets it over to first just in time to retire the side and minimize the first inning damage at a run. Underway in Phoenix with the Nationals on the board first. Jeremy Hellickson to go to work, and let's take a look at who's flipping the switch, brought to you by Boost Mobile. It's the National starter Jeremy Hellickson, who in his last start Tuesday against the Padres took a perfect game into the 7th, ended up with 6 2/3 of 0 runs, 0 walks baseball, part of a 4-0 National shutout win. Perhaps one of Hellickson's finest career efforts in his most recent start. It was his first decision as a National. He makes his 6th assignment in a Washington uniform tonight. A member of the Diamondbacks for a lone season back in 2015. As the former American League Rookie of the Year grabs the ball to go to work and try to finish off a visiting sweep tonight. David Peralta, Daniel Descalso, and Paul Goldschmidt start things for Arizona. We'll post their lineup in just a moment, as the first pitch home from Hellickson is in for a strike.
Hellickson's a guy, he's got 4 pitches. His fastball that he'll 4 and 2 seam, curveball, changeup, cutter, and he's not afraid to throw any of them in any count.
Beaten on the ground right into the shift for Howie Kendrick, and on a couple of pitches, 1 away for Jeremy Hellickson to start tonight. The rest of the Diamondbacks Taco Bell starting lineup tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to highlight Paul Goldschmidt, the 5-time All-Star, a longtime face of his Diamondback club. And with him, it's been a struggle so far this year. This has happened in the past. 2 things he's working on is something to watch is his posture. You want him to be the 6'3" that he is. And number 2, as of late, his strike zone discipline has been better. So hopefully a good sign for him and the Diamondbacks.
1 gone now for Daniel Descalso, the veteran left-handed hitter who has been hot in his last 7. 8 for 21 with 4 extra base hits. So the story around the Diamondbacks to start the year was, man, this team keeps winning series. They won or split each of their first 12 before finally losing the first 3 in this weekend series. That makes Arizona the first team since the '97 Orioles to go 12 series without losing any one of them. And for the reigning National League Manager of the Year, rather, Torey Lovullo, it was a great start in April.
When you think about how they've been winning a lot of those games, a lot of those series, it's been a lot of pitching and a lot of defense, and their offense really hasn't even gotten into that rhythm. You saw the numbers, and Alex just mentioned Paul Goldschmidt. You've got some of the injuries that they've had and guys that have been missing. And yes, AJ Pollock and David Peralta, there are names that are hitting, but this offense is yet to really do what the potential is definitely there for.
And a cold strike 3 taken by Descalso.
It's a beautiful two-seam fastball. It's going to be right at the front hip of Descalso, and you see where it starts and then ends up right on Black. Descalso even kind of tried to move out of the way, thinking it might come at him. That's what a two-seamer will do, is run right back over the plate.
So now 2 out, the bases empty for the 5-time All-Star Paul Goldschmidt. Just 3 for 40 in the month of May. You know, to further what you'd mentioned about Goldschmidt, Alex, there's been so much discussion locally about the start that he's had. And for the lay fan, it's what's wrong with Paul Goldschmidt. Well, the Diamondbacks are encouraged that they've seen some better at-bats at the very least lately. It seemed that when he was struggling in April in particular, he was in a mode where he was either too passive or too aggressive. And for a guy that likes the ball up and is capable of doing damage, hitting coach Dave Magadan and Torey Lovullo think that they've seen better signs of a refined strike zone the last few days. So one hopper to shortstop. And the bottom of the first goes 1-2-3 for Jeremy Hellickson. Continue talking about Paul Goldschmidt as we continue tonight. 1-0 Washington. Bottom of the order in the top of the second for the Nationals. Severino, Hellickson, and Defoe against Zach Godley. Washington scores on an RBI single off the bat of Howie Kendrick in the first inning tonight. Well, Pedro Severino will see plenty of action in the foreseeable future, as he did earlier in the season, with Matt Wieters having a hard time staying off the disabled list. And the productivity has been pretty good, considering the big name that he's replacing. Severino has held up his end of the bargain. Big swing and a miss, and he's behind 1-2.
Here's a terrific sinker. And although his signature pitch is a curveball, he will need to establish early in the count the sinker and the cutter.
Well, Alex, look at the height of all the pitches that Godley will throw. And he might occasionally elevate, but for the most part, you mentioned the sinker. The last pitch, the curveball, you see it spiked right there. He throws it like a fastball. So it doesn't have that natural hump out of the hand. It comes more straight. That's why you see the velocity in the 80s instead of the 70s. But he'll throw that pitch off of a 2-seam fastball lower in the zone. Normally guys throw a curveball off of the 4-seam fastball up in the zone.
Still the ball on 2 strikes to Pedro Severino. We talked to Mike Butcher yesterday, the Diamondbacks pitching coach. And he feels like Zach Godley's sinker command has been the key to a better curveball. His sinker used to cut and his cutter used to sink. And that was a problem. But having control over that sinker now makes the curveball that much more effective. And Severino hits a fly ball out to shallow right. 4 out, number 1.
Well, and Matt, it's that all those pitches are in the same window. What does that mean? Out of the hand, his sinker, his curveball, and his change. Those 3 right there, they look the same to the hitter. The hitter makes the decision, but look at the direction that they all go. The changeup, the sinker, and the curveball all do different things. They all have different velocities. And because of that, when he gets them out of the same window, it makes it very difficult for a hitter to pick up what he's throwing.
1 gone now for Jeremy Hellickson. Dave Martinez batting his pitcher 8th tonight, as he has done already a number of times this season. Hellickson can swing the bat a little. In fact, his best offensive year was the 1 year he spent here in the desert back in 2015. He hit .220. You're not exactly clearing off shelf space for a batting title trophy at .220, but as hitting pitchers go, it was a respectable year. That one off the end of the bat. And there are 2 gone. Monday Night Baseball tomorrow night on ESPN. The Rays and Royals at 7 Eastern. Wednesday Night Baseball features these Nationals in the Bronx. Tanner Roark and CC Sabathia on Wednesday night. And then Jess, Alex, Buster, and I will be in Houston for the Indians and Astros a week from tonight.
I think we need to do a game. You know, we do the seats. Sunday from the seats. We're doing Sunday from the pool.
I know what you're about to say.
No, Sunday from the pool. Yeah, come on.
No chance.
All right, you can sit in the hot tub. Alex and I will be in the pool.
That's my speed right there. Shallow end.
I'm from Miami. I'd rather have the beach.
That'd be so cool, though.
What are you nervous about, Matt? I mean, right away, no.
I know. It's a pool. It's not like we're asking you to sit in lava.
I don't know. The monitors and headsets and live electronics in 3 feet of water.
That's a good point.
Call me crazy.
We can do a big boom mic.
I have a hard enough time seeing the game from here.
I see it happening.
It still works, you know, the pool in the ballpark. Everybody thought that was a gimmick when this place opened 20 years ago. It's still a lot of fun.
Especially with the kids. I mean, you get to take up that space, the view, go swimming.
Just keep Puig and the Dodgers away from there. You'll be in good shape. 2-1 pitch is a swing and a miss by Wilmer Defoe.
Alex liked that one. He's still laughing.
2 gone, bases empty. Zach Godley trying to rebound after allowing the run on a couple of first inning hits. And pitch a 1-2-3 second.
And what the Diamondbacks have been able to do is very impressive. They've done it old school with pitching and defense. And that tells you more about their DNA and the fabric of this roster than just the talent of this roster.
full count, 3-2.
And what I mean by that, when you play defense, that's a team statistic. When you play offense, that's an individual one.
Well, regardless of how you slice it, there are a number of different metrics, whether you're talking about team runs saved, fielding percentage, and the Diamondbacks look very good regardless of the category that you're discussing. Something that's very important to their manager. Only 12 errors, fewest in baseball. Some of the newer numbers, outs above average, set the most in baseball. And then if you're a fan of good old-fashioned fielding percentage, they're good there too. And Zach Godley's good in a 1-2-3, top of the second. AJ Pollock leads off as we go to the bottom half with the Nationals on top by a run.
I love you.
Pretty neat. They snuck up on you there. You're two.
Oh my God.
And Alex, it's been a long time coming, but I've been a fan of yours for a long time. Happy
Mother's Day, Jess.
Oh my, this bouquet.
That's it. She's checked out for the rest of the game.
Oh, I got to see my babies too. But this is ridiculous. We got every flower possible inside here.
Matt and I went shopping last night for those. We went all over Arizona to find them.
Picked every single one in the state.
AJ Pollock leads things off in the Arizona half of the second. Happy Mother's Day, Jess.
Thank you.
And to all the
Mother's
moms
Day.
watching tonight, for sure.
Gosh, it's such a great day. All the moms out there.
AJ not necessarily getting totally immersed in the spirit of the thing with the pink bat, as some have chosen to do. Alex, did you swing the pink bat on Mother's Day, or you wanted to stick with your CSET 271 black lacquer?
You know, I want it to be a good sport, so every time I used it on my first at bat, I usually struck out or popped up, and I went right back to my black bat.
It was the bat's fault. Yeah. There's Steven Souza Jr. now. And Steven is all decked out. He's got the sleeve, the batting gloves, the shoes, and the bat.
Steven grew up in Seattle, going to the Kingdom to watch the old Mariner teams.
And a big swing and a miss at a curveball from Jeremy Hellickson. Steven, of course, began the season on the shelf. An injured pectoral muscle, laying out to make a catch defensively. And it cost him the first month of the season. Nationals property to begin his career. A third rounder by the Nats in 2007. And since then, Steven Souza Jr. has been involved in not one, but 2 3-team deals. On a hop to shortstop, and there's one of the guys he was traded for at one point in his career, Trey Turner, who throws him out. And they might have seen there that on the back of Steven Souza Jr., he's not only decked out in pink, but he is wearing a microphone for us.
We were traded for each other.
I know.
Nice to meet you, man. Love the way you play the game. It's awesome. You like it over here?
Yeah.
Great people.
Yeah, good stuff. I like new staff too. It's good. So
Yeah.
It's been fun. So.
You guys are playing good. You're swinging it well. Keep going.
Appreciate it.
I had to hear about how good you were for 3 years in Tampa.
Tell them to shut up.
Hey, keep playing, buddy.
2 gone bases empty now for Chris Owings.
That is so cool.
There's a shot out to center field and a very quick 1-2-3 second for Jeremy Hellickson, who has retired all 6 that have come to face him. When we come back, Alex had a chance to visit with A.J. Pollock about the big start to his season, and he'll share some of his inside secrets next. May, the National League Player of the Week. Yeah, A.J. Pollock is off to a big start this season, and he shared some of his insider secrets with Alex before the game tonight.
2015, show me how you were attacking the ball. If the ball was coming right here, tell me your swing, how you were attacking that ball in 2015.
Probably with the leg kick, it would be
slow motion.
And then it would be a fall into it.
Yeah.
And then it would be around it, and you're seeing a lot of ground balls pull side.
Okay.
Whereas now I feel like I have a little more under control with the leg kick. It's a little more, and now I have a little more balance.
Yeah.
I'm through the ball a little longer. I have a little more depth with my swing.
Yeah.
So I can hit those 85, 86, and also, you know, be on time for the 95 as well.
This knee right here is kind of coming together almost with this knee.
It's almost working under.
So you have a better gathering. You're collecting yourself, therefore you have more power. Before, it seemed like this knee would come up
straight up
and would just go chase the pitcher.
They say like almost like a dog taking a leap.
That's right.
You know, so
yeah.
Instead of it's working up, it's working now under. And that's helped me so much.
So last year, J.D. Martinez was coming over most mornings around 11 o'clock in the morning. Tell me a little bit about that routine, because that's really unorthodox.
I've never seen it before. He's an all-around hitter. You know, he was one of those guys where I was watching. This guy digs into his mechanics a lot during season. Sometimes you don't see even touch mechanics. He did mechanics, but he was also dialed into the approach, what he wants to do off certain guys, what pitches they're going to throw him. So to me, he was probably the all-around hitter, the first all-around hitter that I've been around, who took care of everything, had a good balance in his game. He would come over. Actually, he was driving to go hit at a batting cage for a while, and I just said, hey, I mean, I have one in my house if you want to come join, you know, and he did. And that's kind of where I started kind of picking his brain and watching what he was doing.
I know your mother Karen should be watching tonight. She's in Florida. You want to send her a little message for Mother's Day?
Absolutely. Mom, I love you. Thank you for all you've done for me. Hopefully I play a good game for you tonight and make you proud.
Boy, a guy with a personal batting cage, and AJ and Steven are watching a review up on the board here because a terrific play by Ketel Marte was apparently not enough to get Trey Turner, who can really run. This is the very back of the play again. This is what they're looking at, whether or not Turner was in fact safe. So the Diamondbacks have challenged the call. We'll get a good look here. Wow, is that close?
That one, it almost looks like they get him.
And Matt, you talk about being fast. Well, he was at NC State. He was timed at a 4.2 40-yard dash. So that is blazing speed.
Arizona's had good success challenging calls. They've challenged 14. 10 have been overturned. Watch how sweet Ketel Marte is here. And in fact, the call has been overturned. Torey Lovullo is now 11 for 15 in his challenges. So after a great play and a review, there is one gone to start the third now with the bases empty for Bryce Harper. So Alex, I want to get back to your conversation with A.J. Pollock, because in it you discussed his having his own kind of thing, his own batting cage, his own program, and it sounds like he was doing more work than most would do after they get to the ballpark before he even leaves his house.
It's unusual. A lot of it is. I mean, first of all, to be hitting at 11 o'clock in the morning in your house, in your batting cage, unusual. The other thing is they have a three-headed monster hitting coaching. So they have three voices, but is one messenger in Dave Magadan, the hitting coach for the Diamondbacks. Again, they're doing things that are a little bit contrarian to the way they've been done for years, but for AJ is working out beautifully.
3 balls and no strikes. The count to Bryce Harper. There's Dave Magadan. He's had great results as a hitting coach in San Diego and Boston. Terrific career as a player. Oh, Bryce Harper lift off and gone. Oh, man. Number 13 for Harper. You give a guy like that a 3-0 green light, and there's a chance you run into something like that. Wow.
Boy, that's as good as it gets right there. 3-0 green light, neon green light with the pink bat. And that is a thing of beauty. Launch angle, exit velo.
Wow.
Everything.
So Harper's 13th, and on a day where Mookie Betts and Manny Machado have homered to give themselves a temporary home run lead, Harper ties him back up again as Kendrick is tied up and jammed a broken back ground ball for out number 2.
You know it's crushed when your right fielder, like you call it a courtesy jog, like when you just kind of jog back to like let the pitcher know. He's like, this thing is gone. I'm not even gonna move.
My goodness.
And Bryce Harper said, "Humidor, take that."
What happens when somebody hits that truck out there? Because honestly, he wasn't that far away from it. Here's Matt Adams now.
You should get it.
Arizona goes into the shift. Is that why they've got it out there? Because it's like, you're never going to get me type thing? Like that big oversized glove in San Francisco?
Although, do you want the truck that you just broke the window of?
That's out to right field and well hit. Souza can't quite finish with the catch. Adams on his way to second. Well, Steven Souza got there and then just couldn't put it away.
This ball is crushed into the gap. Souza Jr. gets a great jump on it too. He gets to where he needs to be to catch this ball and goes off kind of almost the palm of his glove. It's like he almost over reached for it, but it's one of those you just take your eyes off for a second. But he had this in the glove. he'd be the first to tell you it's a ball that definitely had to be caught.
So an RBI opportunity now for Mark Reynolds, a runner at second with a run in and 2 gone. And scored as a double off the bat of Matt Adams. And a strike to Mark Reynolds.
And for Bryce Harper, the first time he makes contact on a 3-0 pitch this year. Prior to that, he was 14 pitches, all led to walks.
For a guy who has seen a scarcity of fastballs, that had to be a welcome sight as Reynolds jerks that one well foul. I mean, isn't that the whole thing around Bryce Harper? You throw him a fastball for a strike and he's going to do damage. And you know, opposing pitchers know what's going on. That Bryce just hasn't had that opportunity the last 3 weeks.
Well, and when you have players that are injured in and around this lineup, it's almost like, why throw to him? Especially 3-0. I mean, give him something that he could possibly chase, which he's shown the last couple weeks he'll do. He doesn't want to walk.
Oh, and 2 the count to Mark Reynolds. And that one's buried and bounces away from Alex Avila. It gives Adams a free 90 feet.
Here's a knuckle curve. He throws it every time as hard as he can. And there he just stuck it right into the ground. An impossible play for Avila. Self-defense.
Ball and 2 strikes to Reynolds now. And Reynolds is jammed. He popped it up. Descalso's got it. Well, the hitter that has seen the fewest percentage of fastballs for strikes all year got one and did that with it to make it 2-0 Nats. Brought to you by Chevy, the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. And Corona Premier, lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. Big expectations every year for Bryce Harper. He has gone deep tonight. His major league leading tying 13th of the year, part of a 2-0 Washington lead. Jeremy Hellickson goes back to work against the bottom third of the order for Arizona. Avila, Marte, and Godley. Avila starts playing tonight, just 2 for his last 27. And he takes a strike to fall behind 0-2.
2 back-to-back curveballs from Hellickson. Different location, a little different velocity. And it's interesting, Alex mentioned the spike, that knuckle curve. Zach Godley, the opposing pitcher for the D-backs, actually learned his curveball from Jeremy Hellickson.
And a swing and a miss. He makes quick work of Avila for his second strikeout of the game. Our ESPN Plus Tuesday night baseball matchup is between a couple of the top teams in the American League. Altuve, Correa, and Springer lead the Stros against Trout and the Angels in Anaheim. Start time 10:07 Eastern, 7:07 Pacific. Garrett Cole, the American League strikeout leader, takes the mound for Houston. This one's also streaming live on the ESPN app, so start your free trial of ESPN Plus now. 7 up, 7 down for Jeremy Hellickson. Here's Ketel Marte. Switch hitting shortstop has already made a great play in this one tonight. Playing with a relatively fresh contract extension in his back pocket. And he's got a base hit. First base runner of the game for Arizona.
Look at where this pitch is on Ketel Marte, and a big thing for him is he's a contact guy. So what does he do? He's simple, and he just basically takes a pitch 86 up on the hands, as on the hands as you can get, somewhat close to the strike zone, and just pokes this into left field. Marte's not going to be a guy that's going to crush it like you saw Harper. He's going to be a guy that can take a pitch like that and find a way to turn it into a hit.
Zach Godley now with 1 out and 1 on. Bunting, and it's a pretty good one. Marte to second with 2 away.
Nice bunting by the former middle linebacker in high school, Godley. I just love the way Diamondbacks play fundamental baseball. It gives you a margin of error until your offense gets going.
And back to the top of the order now for David Peralta. I think you make a good point. That's having a pretty good idea as to what's coming up next. And the 2 hottest bats in the Arizona lineup have a chance now. Runner at second with 2 gone.
David Peralta has lowered his hands a little bit this season, which has helped him get to more pitches. So not only he's always been good at kind of covering the away, but he can get to the inside. So being able to hit both sides of the plate.
And that's jerked into the right field corner. Marte around to score. Peralta on his way to second and thinking about third. An RBI triple for David Peralta.
Nice hitting here. Takes the same pitch Marte fought into left field. Peralta yanks into the right field corner. A cutter. Nice tight swing, catches it out in front. Nice hitting for David Peralta.
And that was his adjustment with his hands this season. He could not get to that pitch, Alex, even a season ago, but lowering his hands and just simplifying that path allows him to get that triple.
So now Daniel Descalso with Peralta at third. Diamondbacks on the board to cut it to a 1-run game. That was just the second hit of the series for Arizona with a runner in scoring position. They had been 1 for 18 in that capacity leading into that swing. The only hit was Zach Greinke's RBI single in game 1 of the series on Thursday.
I'm waiting for Jeremy Hellickson right now to follow that cutter to front hip with the 2-seamer now to these lefties, because they're swinging. They are all over that pitch.
Good block that time behind the plate by Severino. You know, if we could get back to Peralta, he has turned into one of the great stories in baseball this year. You're talking about a 30-year-old player who had to reinvent his career after being signed by St. Louis as a pitcher back in 2004. He was released by the Cardinals 5 years later after a couple of labrum surgeries and a kind of a spotty record as a starter. Went back to his native Venezuela, got himself into better shape, played independent ball there, then came back to the States, played more independent ball before finally getting a look with the Diamondbacks. He was called up in June of 2014, a different player, a different guy, really. Learned English, made himself a completely different contributor, and is among the team leaders in this Diamondbacks roster in 2018. And Descalso catches that foul tip up in the chops.
Yeah, man, he is the epitome of appreciation. If you're talking to the manager this afternoon today, he was talking about, here's a guy that walks in hungry, grateful, works very, very hard at his craft every single day. He's fun to watch, and you're right, this is one of the best stories in baseball.
Well, he appreciates it. I mean, there's something about him that, and you watch the way he plays the game, the way he legs out that triple out of the box. I mean, watch him on defense. He's someone that gets it because he's had to be humbled by this game.
I think the language barrier is a bigger deal than a lot of folks realize. I mean, this is a guy who was so kind of unsure about his grasp of English that he brought a friend with him on the first date that he would have with his eventual wife to interpret, just in case he got a little nervous about the language.
Yeah, you can't get a misinterpretation on a date.
That's a big deal, yeah. He's off the bag. Severino's got him in a rundown now. The throw back to Hellickson, and Peralta's out. Terrific execution by the Nationals in a play that could have gone very wrong for them. For the National success the last number of years, three-time Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer. Two of those honors have come with the Nats. Scherzer's off to one of the best starts of his career, 7-1 with a 1.69 ERA this year. In fact, he's the first pitcher with an ERA below 2 while averaging 10 or more strikeouts a game in his first 9 starts since Pedro Martinez did it about 15 years ago. And Max is good enough to join us tonight. Hey, off to a terrific start, Max. Congratulations. I want to ask you about that last play before we dig too far into you, though. Did you get a clean look at that and break it down for us? What happened?
Yeah, everybody kept their composure. Nobody was freaking out there. You know, Sevy made a great throw down there, and Defo made a great throw back to Helly, and we got a great tag. So that's just great defense.
One of the things, Max, we could talk all day long about your pitching and even the pitching that your staff has been able to combine to do, but you've been picking up the bat and taking some hacks too. What's going on?
Hey, look, I'm just finding a way to get the bat to the ball. I got a high school swing. You know, I just try to get into work in the cages. Just try to get my reps in with K-Long, and you know, just go up there. And hey, look, I ain't anything special up there, but just go out there and compete. Try to get a pitch a hit, and just work the other way.
Max, I know Kevin is trying to take credit for that great swing of yours, but listen, you're quietly becoming the best pitcher in baseball right now, and you have it all working. Can you describe what is the feeling every 5th day when you get up to the bump and you feel like this is a domination day for me?
It's just a day to go out there and compete. You know, hey, we got a great team, got a great opportunity in front of us, and be able to do a lot of great things this season. But you know, we're in a great division. We're seeing the other teams in our division play really good baseball, and we got to go out there and grind right now. And every 5th day is an opportunity for me to go out there and compete.
Well, Max, one of the things that kind of jumps off the screen is not only your stuff, but the emotions that come with when you play. And we were talking pregame, and I loved your quote of, you pitch with emotions, but don't be emotional. How have you kind of had to balance that and use it to your advantage?
Yeah, that was a little kind of quote from Mad Dog when he was here last year of talking, pitching. That was one of the things that kind of stuck with me. Like you said, you can pitch with emotions, you just can't be emotional. And there's parts of the game where you're going to feed off the game with the adrenaline, where it's a big situation and you can rear back a little bit and put a little extra on your fastball, and that's good. And be able to go down and dig deep and find a way to get out of some big innings. And when you can throw up goose eggs for your team, that always seems to get the offense going.
So you had a baby this off season. So your wife Erica is a mom.
Yep, it's Happy Mother's Day all the way around.
You give a shout out to her, and obviously being a dad too, I'm sure it's been pretty cool coming into the year.
Yeah, it's been. Oh, there we go, Sevy, come on.
Pedro Severino with extra bases into the left field corner. And with one away, there's a runner at second for the Nationals.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, but we got a great opportunity to watch Pedro now. Wieters is down on the DL for a bit. Dude, I love pitching to Sevy and what he does offensively and defensively. He brings so much energy to us. So I hope everybody can see Sevy can play. I love what he's doing for our ball club.
Max, I want to give you a chance to make a pitch to Alex, because I'll play the role of Mr. Wonderful, and I'll be the guy that poo-poos the great idea. But if you've got a product or something that you want to bring to Alex's attention for Shark Tank, the pulpit is yours.
All right, I got an idea. I see the bullpen cards here, but I saw Bubba Watson's got one of those like hovercrafts that can go on any part of the golf course. So what happens if every stadium had one of those like hovercrafts that could take the pitcher right out to the mound and then hovercraft off? What do you think?
I kind of like it. That's a little bit of a starter, so there's no gross margin, there's no revenues there, but we'll take a look at it. I believe in you, so I'll be your partner, Max.
Hey, Max, we appreciate the visit today. Congrats on the great start. Best of luck the rest of the way.
We'll look for the hovercraft bullpen.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Jeremy Hellickson with a chance to help himself here after the double by Severino. One-out runner at second base in a 2-1 game. Any shot at that happening? The hovercraft, get that on the show.
You may have to run that by Tony Petiti in the front office on that in Park Avenue.
There's a wave and a miss by Hellickson. Well, Max Scherzer's last start was a good one, and it came earlier in this series. Struck out 11 over 7 innings of 4-hit baseball. I mean, I think you hit it, Alex. If you had to pick one guy who is the best in our game right now, we're watching his last start. Max Scherzer has been terrific this year.
He is a total package. And talking to Dave Martinez and all the things that he does on days that he doesn't pitch is the leadership. It's the leadership, is the communication, is the dialogue with the other 10 pitchers, not only the starters, but the relievers, is the energy and the competitiveness he brings every single day. I love Max Scherzer.
once a Diamondback. Began his big league career here, was here for a short time before being sent to the Tigers. And there's one that gets away from Avila. Severino advances. Yeah, that deal was back in 2009. There was a lot of talent that switched uniforms in this one, Buster. I mean, it seems like a long time ago, and when you digest the careers that everybody's had on that screen, that was a nice deal.
It was a nice deal, and I think you're right what you said in the meeting today. Max Scherzer is beginning to check a lot of those boxes for the Hall of Fame, including top 5 finishes for the Cy Young Award. He won 3, first place.
Wilmer Defoe with a bouncer to second. Owings to Goldschmidt to put the 4th inning to bed. To the bottom of the 4th, still a 2-1 Washington lead. Ready to serve all military and veterans with half off their family lines. It was a 2-0 lead that was cut in half in the bottom of the 3rd by the David Peralta triple. Bottom of the 4th in a 2-1 Nationals lead. Daniel Descalso, who was at the plate when Peralta was thrown out trying to score from 3rd on a wild pitch, leads things off. It'll be Descalso, Goldschmidt, and Pollock in the Diamondbacks 4th. Daniel Descalso, described as the consummate pro by his manager to us before the game, and a guy that's kind of found a nice home here in the desert. Some good years with the Cardinals, but Descalso has become a little bit more than the role player that he was previously in his career here as a Diamondback.
And a guy that will have consistent, mature at-bats. He's the adult in the room. He's a great complement to this roster. He's a guy you can do a lot with. He can hit with a little power. He can hit and run. He hits behind runners. Nice addition.
Crushes fastballs. Almost double the league average on fastballs in his slugging percentage.
Doing a pretty good job keeping that 3rd base spot occupied until Jake Lamb can get himself mended up. In fact, Lamb will make his first rehab appearance tonight. He's doing it as we speak in Single-A Visalia in the California League.
Outside.
3 balls and a strike from Jeremy Hellickson. Paul Goldschmidt waiting next. Here's the 3-1. And a full count now. Say this for Hellickson, and it's still true. He entered play tonight as the only qualified starter, that is those that have made at least 5 assignments, who has not allowed the first run of the game. And there's ball 4. Steven Souza scheduled to bat 4th in this inning and enjoying a moment with Joe West between innings.
Hey, I got to tell you something funny next inning. So you know how I asked you how much longer you have?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah. So today I was going to come tell you, before that happened last night, that the last time I see you in 3 years, I want you to be the first guy to ever throw me out of a game. You can't do it anymore. It got taken away.
There's Paul Goldschmidt. Now, Buster, he was talking about getting ejected from the game yesterday. I guess he was serious about that, huh?
He was 100% serious about it. I talked to him before, and in yesterday's game, he had kind of a misunderstanding. As this at bat ends, he flips the bat, but it got stuck on his hand, went on the field, he gets ejected, and he was surprised. He didn't mean anything by it. He talked to Doug Edding there for a while. What he told me today was it had been his goal to never get ejected from a Major League Baseball game other than Joe West in his last year. And he was going to go to Joe in Joe's last year and say, okay, now's the time. Now I want you to eject me to have that so I can have that honor.
It seems like an unusual goal to bring into a season, but he was almost able to pull that off, I guess.
Well, and that really speaks to how much of a baseball fan, how much of a fan of the game Steven Souza Jr. is.
Breaking ball's in for a strike to Paul Goldschmidt, puts him behind 0-2.
You know, it's a game of so many emotions, and Doug Edding is the 20-year veteran who's a terrific umpire. You know, the only thing I would say is you always want to just take a pause before making anything like that. And I know Doug Eddings felt really bad after the game.
Goldschmidt lays off. Goldzilla. And fans around here waiting for him to reflex his muscles. And he's caught looking at a called strike 3.
Now that's a right changeup for Hellickson. Is a pitch that if Goldschmidt was on fire, it would be called a ball. But when you're struggling, everything that's anywhere close usually goes against you, and that was the case right there. Too close to take.
So a walk and a strikeout start things here for Hellickson with 1 gone and 1 on. It's A.J. Pollock now. And Pollock takes a strike.
Alex, how many times did you see, how often would you see a right changeup? I feel like I'm seeing it more, but it didn't always happen.
I would say in the first 15 years of my career, hardly ever. But Tampa Bay made it very popular with Shield and Hellickson. And maybe something that came from Hickey, the pitching coach over there that's now with the Cubs. It became a very lethal weapon for right change.
That's into left center field on the dead sprint to Taylor. He'll pull up, and it's a base hit for Pollock to put runners at first and second here in the 4th. This Mother's Day, join baseball in the fight against breast cancer and seeking a cure for this all too pervasive disease. We stand with the countless individuals affected each year. Visit MLBcommunity.org to learn more. Major League Baseball every year supporting the fight against breast cancer. So runners at first and second with 1 gone now for Steven Souza. we've already talked about the deals that Souza was involved with, a pair of 3-teamers. It's rare when a guy with the season that he had last year finds himself involved in a trade with still controllable contract years on his deal. Coming off a 30 home run year in Tampa St. Pete last season. So the Diamondbacks, when they got him, they felt like they had done what they needed to do to put back some of the productivity that JD Martinez took with him to Boston. I don't think anybody was going to come here and go nuts the way Martinez did after the break last year. But Souza being hurt to start the year got his Diamondbacks career off to a rocky start. I think a lot of us agree that the best is yet to come for him in this ballpark and with this team.
You know, he's a terrific athlete. He played baseball and football at Washington State University, and he provides a lot of tools for this team. He brings power, above average defense, and always brings energy.
Well, the personality, we're seeing it. He's mic'd up tonight for us, and to be able to see kind of how he interacts not only with his own teammates, the guy he's traded for, and Trey Turner going up, be like, I don't know if you know this, we were traded for each other. I feel like I should introduce myself.
Yeah, the only time he's speechless is when he meets Alex, who he rooted for as a kid while growing up in Washington, and he hadn't talked to him in all those years that he played against him when he was with the Rays, and Alex was with the Yankees, and today met him for the first time in the clubhouse.
3 balls and no strikes. The count to Steven Souza. You know, I think as well, I mean, here's a little non sequitur, bear with me on this, but you know those shows where they take a guy and they take his clothes and they put him on an island someplace and they say, go fend for yourself there, fella? I think this guy would dominate. Here's why. He plays the drums.
That totally helps on an island.
It does, because the rescue party can find you that way. If Tom Hanks could play the drums in that movie, he wouldn't have to throw, you know, spears at fish and try to open up FedEx boxes the way he did. Whatever that movie was called.
Castaway.
He's got a 37.5-inch vertical leap. He runs a 6.5 in a 60-yard dash in 6.5 seconds.
That's totally
He can bench almost 400 pounds. He's a bow hunter.
A bow hunter.
And he's wearing a microphone tonight. I love the energy. Look, when you play 200 games in 232 days, one of the best commodities any clubhouse can have is energy. Nick Swisher did it for us in 2009 when we won the championship. Souza does it, and he does it with big upside down.
And without as many bro hugs. Probably. Full count to him. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
This should be a changeup. There's some eye wash.
The move is eye wash?
The move is eye wash. But this should be a changeup.
It's his favorite pitch.
Runners stay put. The 3-2 pitch is beaten on the ground to third. Defoe to Kendrick. Relay back to first is not in time to double off Souza. We talked about Stephen Waring and Mike, and we've heard what he's had to say already tonight. Here he is with some more Mother's Day thoughts.
I probably should say Happy Mother's Day to my wife, and my mother, and my grandmother, and my mother-in-law. Got a lot of mothers. My wife is unreal. Mother's Day doesn't even describe how amazing she is. This should be a Mother's Week or a month. This is a Mother's Year.
If he's just talking to himself, it might feel like if no one that knows that he has a mic on.
Oh my God. I love this guy.
We could have gotten him to do that without the seeds in the gum in his mouth. We could have understand what he was talking about.
No, the seeds in the gum make it better.
Oh man.
Here's Chris Owings now with runners at the corners. Hellickson trying to wiggle off the hook. It was a walk and then a 1-out single. He got Souza to ground into the fielder's choice play, so 2 out, 2 on here in the 4th. Owings lined out in his first at bat tonight, just 1 for his last 18. You know, something unusual is going to happen, at least unusual for folks that weren't told about it and who haven't watched baseball here. Coming up shortly, they're going to open the roof tonight, we're told. At least that was the plan before the game. It was going to be open sometime during the 6 o'clock hour when the sun is a little less brutal. As to what that does for the conditions, it remains to be seen. Comebacker. Hellickson's got it. And he's out of trouble in the 4th.
All right, guys, here we go.
They're about getting ready to do it. Still 2-1 Nats. By Taco Bell, a 2-1 lead for the Nationals as we start the top of the 5th under different conditions. Yeah, the roof is open for the rest of this one. We're told this process takes all of 4 minutes. And as we're joined by Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo. Torey, would this have happened if, say, nobody had allowed a hit and you're rolling right along with Zach Godley? Were they going to open this roof up anyway?
Yeah, I think regardless of what has happened during the game, I think it was going to happen. I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful stadium when it's open. It's a special place.
Does it change anything for you? I mean, do you think the ball plays any differently, open or closed?
Well, I think when it's open, you might get a little bit more of a draft, and obviously when you got that, there's a little more current, and there might be a little bit more carry on the ball.
Trey Turner leads things off in the Nationals half of the 5th.
Hey, Torey, you and I played for the great manager Lou Piniella in 1994.
Right.
You talked about Tito Francona, what a great influence he has been in your career. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned from him?
Well, it's simple. The art of communication, his ability to
awkward when we've got the other manager on and somebody goes deep, but yeah, it's happened. Trey Turner just goes deep as the roof opens up to open up a 2-run lead for the Nationals.
But anyways, getting back to the question, he was the best communication. He gave me a place where I could express myself. He listened. He always had something very enriching to say, and it was one of the great gifts that he had and continues to have.
Well, one of the players that we've talked about, he had a big triple for you guys tonight already, is David Peralta, and kind of what he's done in the evolution of him as a player, his history. What have you seen from him, especially this season?
Well, exactly what he just did for us. You know, it was a triple with 2 outs, and he's instant energy. He can impact the baseball, and he's done a great job all year long for us. And he was doing the same thing last year. He's the type of guy that wants to be in the middle of things. He wants to direct a lot of traffic. It's his personality, and you saw that shine through tonight.
Torey, so many new managers this season. David Martinez, one of them, in the opposite dugout to you. Have you gotten phone calls from managers, you being a recent new one as well, just to kind of get advice and get an idea of how they can go about things?
No, not really. You have casual conversations between games to start series, perhaps with other managers. I will say the one that I do talk to, probably one of the closer friends that I do have in the game, an ex-colleague of yours, Aaron Boone. We compared notes a little bit, and he's special. You know, he asks a lot of questions, and obviously he's having a lot of success in New York.
Touring Mother's Day, of course. Do you want to send any salutations back home?
You know, I appreciate that, you guys. I certainly do. Obviously, my wife, who's a tremendous mother, gives me the opportunity to come out here, watches over our kids every single day, and then obviously my mom, who is a huge influence in my life. And I wanted to say thanks for all the rides to baseball practice, all the rides here, there, and everywhere, supporting me and loving me. I would not be standing here right now if it weren't for you, Mom.
Way
I love
to go,
you.
man.
Yeah.
Well said. Hey, Tori, we
guys.
appreciate the visit. Best of luck the rest of the way this year.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tori.
Ball and 2 strikes. The count to Bryce Harper after the Trey Turner homer.
I'll tell you what, it does change. They open up that roof. I mean, the whole lighting, it became almost, not that it was a nighttime feel, but you had that kind of darker inside, and it's a beautiful day.
And you know, when you're at the plate, you actually see the ball a lot better.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Bryce Harper, who has been on Zach Godley tonight. Full count now, 3-2.
I don't expect Godley to throw Harper one more strike the rest of the night. So if Bryce Harper is patient, he should walk on this pitch.
Full count to Harper. The 3-2. He got him. Wow, that is a pitcher's pitch as well.
And it's probably his best pitch of the night, a 90-mile-an-hour cutter. Here it is right here. Explosive cutter, perfect location, too close to take.
How about Zach Godley? I mean, coming off a 3-0, giving up the home run, like you said, he could give in there easily and no one would question it. Ball four, take your base. No one's on base, so you got it. Instead, he comes right at him with a fastball inside, which, by the way, was the same pitch that he hit out.
I mean, here's a guy that played baseball in high school to get in shape for football season. He was a middle linebacker, he was a quarterback, and he was a long snapper. And it was his high school coach, David Horton, who was there for 44 years, that convinced him to pitch in his junior year. David Horton was also the coach of Mookie Wilson and his son Preston Wilson, there for 44 years.
44-year career, man.
It's kind of cool too that Godley didn't even know or learn to pitch until his junior year in high school.
You kind of get the football pathology in Zach Godley. Here's the 1-2 home to Kendrick. 2-2 now.
He's got that mentality.
Yeah, and he told us yesterday, you know, you mentioned it already, Alex. I'll throw the curveball as hard as I can. There's not, you know, there's not that varying finesse speed on his curveball. He's going to snap off as many as he can, as hard as he can, until he's out of gas.
Yeah, I mean, he's Mike Singletary. He's a middle linebacker, and you can tell by the way he talked to us. You know, he's a new school guy with old school mentality. And when you see him get the third out, you see him sprint. It's almost like he's sprinting to the sidelines in football. I just love the way this guy goes about it.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Kendrick, who has singled in one of the 3 Nationals runs tonight. Comebacker. Godley's got it. There are 2 away. Let's take you back to how this half inning began with the first pitch home run to Trey Turner.
See that spike on the curveball, the knuckle up, a pitch that you're going to see over and over again. And you could tell right here, Turner all over it, not shocked at all. When you know a guy's going to throw you a pitch almost 50% of the time, especially you go third time through the order, Turner crushes this one to lead off the inning.
Dangerous hitter now with 2 gone in Matt Adams. Yeah, we've talked about how Zach Godley likes to lean on that curveball. StatCast powered by AWS puts it into context for us. 40% of what he throws is the yacker, the hammer, the Uncle Charlie, the bender, the deuce, if you will. And only Lance McCullers Jr., who loves his curveball like no other, throws it more often. Two and one to Matt Adams.
Yeah, the catcher Alex Avila told me the only other pitcher he's caught with a curveball as good as Godley's is Justin Verlander. So that's a pretty high standard.
And that's the new age stuff with the old school mentality of Godley that Alex was just talking about. I mean, that's where analytics show you, hey, this is your best pitch. Why are you only throwing it a third of the time?
Comes back to even the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. And on 2-2, the Diamondbacks switch it up the middle. They have Ketel Marte switch spots with Daniel Descalso.
They go to the zone cover 2 coverage.
Got him looking.
And there's the middle linebacker sprinting to the sidelines after a great tackle.
Against the Yankees, the Dodgers and Padres follow. It's your chance to be at Nationals Park to see Harper, Rendon, Turner, and the rest of the Nats. Visit nationals.com for tickets. Yeah, some of them have made the trip to the desert this weekend. Caps jersey, Nats cap. Why not? Alex Avila leads things off to start things in the home half of the 5th. It'll be Avila, Marte, and Zach Godley against Jeremy Hellickson, who gave up the 1 run on the RBI triple by David Peralta in the 3rd. Other than that, he has been in control tonight.
He's gone to that curveball and changeup more than his fastball. Alex talked about it earlier with his changeup to righties. Really likes to throw that pitch as you see Sammy Solis warming up in the bullpen. But Hellickson, a guy, he's got a lot of pitches, but he will lean on those 2 secondaries, the curve and the change, a lot. Throw off that fastball.
Yeah, he uses those secondaries as he strikes out Avila to the point where there's really not anything like a true fastball count against him. Any pitch, any time.
Well, and he has such confidence with him. I mean, you see even within his curveball that he threw 3 times there to Alex Avila is that he'll throw it 3 different depths, 3 different speeds, so he can kind of manipulate even that pitch.
Here's Ketel Marte now, who singled and scored that lone run back in the 3rd. Every great rotation, and you can go back to the Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Braves. Pick one of them. Every one of those great rotations has to have a presence in the 4 and 5 spots that can be counted on for innings. You make 30 starts, you make 25 starts these days, and that's a big deal, right? 5-6 innings at a time. Maybe you have a 500 record at the end of the year. You let Strasburg and Gonzalez and Scherzer do the heavy lifting. Even those Braves teams had to have serviceable number 4s and 5s. And Jeremy Hellickson's been more than that in his career, but that's the role he occupies here with the Nats. He is not one of their quote-unquote frontline pitching stars, but he's been great so far. A great value signed on a minor league deal.
Yeah, if you're Rizzo, you got to be thrilled. I mean, if you can get 360 to 400 innings from your 4 and 5 spot, you're winning. You expect the heavy lifting to come from 1, 2, and 3. But Hellickson has done a terrific job filling those innings for the Nationals.
Tanner Roark has been very good for this club for the past few years in that similar capacity. Next pitch to Marte is lined out to right. Well hit, but right at Bryce Harper. And that's out number 2.
Well, like anything, too, there's sustainability. I mean, Jeremy Hellickson, he started out his first 5 starts last year, 1-0 with a 2.28. Sorry, this year, 1-0, 2.28 ERA. Last season, he was 4-0 with a 1.8 ERA, but finished the season 4-11 with a 6.25. So this is something that he's working on to be able to sustain to help this staff, not just the first half, but the second half as well.
Zach Godley now. He laid down the sacrifice back in the 3rd. We saw Sammy Solis up in the bullpen, and it's by design at this point of the night behind Hellickson, as he is finishing up his 2nd turn through the order. He's one of a growing number of starters for whom the numbers get a little uglier when you face an opponent for a 3rd time. And he strikes out Godley to retire the side. Through 5 tonight, still 3-1 Washington.
Swing and a high fly ball belted. First home run for Acuna as a tape measure shot. High fly ball hammered deep to right. Anderson's not going to get it. That ball is gone. A grand slam for Albies.
Our Sunday night focus, the Atlanta Braves winners again today. Atlanta has won 5 of 6 during their current road trip through Florida. They've got Nick Markakis, who's red hot this month and leads the majors in hits. Freddie Freeman leads the majors in a number of other categories, including OPS plus, if you like that stuff. And Ronald Acuna Jr. in his rookie campaign, barely old enough to do many things in society, but certainly old enough to play in the Grande Ligas. He is having a great start to his major league career. On a beautiful night in Phoenix, we talk about more than just the Diamondbacks and Nationals. This one's a 3-1 Nationals lead as Mark Reynolds digs in to start the 6th inning tonight.
What I like about the Braves right now is you get excited about this team just because you know the future is coming, and it's coming a little bit early, I feel like. And when you see those young players, the Acuñas and the Albies and even Dansby Swanson, but to me it's the fact that the vets, the Freddie Freemans, who's batting .341 by the way, Nick Markakis, you just saw .431 in the month of May, leading Major League Baseball. So you also have a little bit of the older guys balanced with these new players that are giving that Braves team a real sense of energy.
Counts a ball and a strike on Mark Reynolds. I'm not sure how much longer it lasts, Alex, if it's going to be sustainable throughout the summer. But it sure has been fun to watch this Braves team come together a little earlier than we thought it would. First place in the NL East.
Yeah, it almost feels like turn back the clock when Mr. Chipper Jones was there. I know people are very excited in Atlanta, but it has been a combination of electric youthful talent.
Mark Reynolds doing what he did here in this ballpark as a home guy. The 3rd home run of the night for the Nationals, and it extends their lead to 4-1.
And Jessica, there's the power on the curveball that I was talking about earlier. A 2-1 cement mixer. Mark Reynolds sitting on it, was all over it. And nice leverage, back knee down to the ground, how Kevin Long teaches. A beautiful start. Boy, what a way to start as a National for Mark Reynolds.
We've also now seen 2 back-to-back home runs on the curveball, 3rd time through the order. These guys are sitting on it, and we've talked about it at length. The guy throws a lot of curveballs. No one throws more behind Lance McCullers Jr. And you get a lineup like the Nationals, they're going to make adjustments. They came into the game knowing what he's going to throw. You know it, it's hard to hit it, but now you've seen it. They sit on it. You're seeing them adjust in a big way.
0-2 the counts of Michael Taylor.
And they're hitting the 2-1 curveball, which is much different than the 1-2 curveball. The 1-2 curveball, he throws a little bit harder, is more explosive, and it lands in the dirt. That one's more the get me back in the count. 2-1. Here it is. Home run. Mark Reynolds.
Ball and 2 strikes to Michael Taylor. Mark Reynolds is that guy that helps somebody every year. And for his career to have finished after a 30 home run campaign last year didn't make any sense. The fact that this guy had to wait and sing for his supper so long to find a deal someplace is befuddling to a lot of us. 30 home runs, 97 RBIs last year, and not on an opening day roster anywhere in baseball.
You're absolutely right. Here's a guy that can play first base, third base, left field, right field, can hit with power, crushes lefties, and a terrific dynamic guy in the clubhouse. Really, really good teammate.
Full count, the 3-2 home. And Taylor swings and misses for out number 1. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN is presented by Taco Bell and brought to you by Napoleon Grills. Upgrade your grilling game. And Hyundai. Three home runs for the Nats, leading the way tonight in a 4-1 lead. 1 gone, 1 in here in the 6th, and that'll bring back Pedro Severino.
I'm surprised too, guys, about Reynolds not landing, because he's not the same all-or-nothing hitter that he was early in his career. He told me that when he spent time with the St. Louis Cardinals and he came off the bench as a pinch hitter, he really began to focus more on making contact. And look, he's not a prototypical contact hitter by any means, But the guy had a .352 on base percentage last year with all the home runs.
Infield pop for Goldschmidt, and out number 2.
Well, and that's what you're seeing, Buster, in kind of just the mentality and a little bit of humility, too. I'm sure this offseason, I can't imagine every day and the thought process, but taking into what he did last season and now the approach, and with Ryan Zimmerman on the DL, just the opportunities that he's going to get, it's big.
A pinch hitter now for Jeremy Hellickson as Moises Sierra grabs the bat with the run in and 2 away.
And it will be interesting as this summer, as the spring evolves, to see what the Nationals do with him, because Ryan Zimmerman's DL stint is not going to be long. They have Matt Adams. So does Mark Reynolds basically force the Nationals to keep him and be a guy who can move around, play different positions? It'll be interesting.
I'm telling you, every year Mark Reynolds has to figure out where he's going to play, and every year the team that signs him or acquires him says, boy, thank goodness for Mark Reynolds. What would the Rockies have done without Mark Reynolds last year when Ian Desmond was on the shelf the whole year? And here's a number that puts into perspective how odd it is for a guy that put up the kind of numbers he did last year not to be on an opening day roster. In the last 20 years, he was just the 3rd player coming off a 30-90 season not on an opening day roster. One of those guys was David Ortiz, who decided to take it to the house. The other guy was Tony Batista, who everybody said had a weird swing, and whatever happened to Tony Batista was perhaps his choice back then. But this is like a Dave Kingman departure. 30 and 100 and gone the next year. That just doesn't happen. You can help too many people.
The game has changed. And here's a guy that's also played postseason baseball. So he brings that value to a team, a winning team.
And Sierra's caught looking. No further damage after the Reynolds home run. His first as a National, however, has made it 4-1 Washington. With a pitching change, it's Sammy Solis who takes over on the mound for the Nationals, making his 23rd appearance of the year already. in what may be a 2 at-bat stint, as he'll face a couple of left-handed batters to start things with a 3-0, a 3-run lead, and a ball that eats up Trey Turner. It looked like a routine chance, and Peralta's aboard to start the 6th.
And Peralta hits this ball very sharply. Trey Turner didn't get a good read on this and was just caught in between no man's land. And the ball hits hard right off his forearm. And this can go either way, either a base hit or an error. That is a much tougher play than it looked like. Look. E6.
It will hang an error on Trey Turner, so it puts Peralta aboard. And now it's Daniel Descalso, who struck out and walked against Jeremy Hellickson tonight. Hellickson departs after 5. And he does so on the good end of a 4-1 score, hoping to keep his record unblemished.
It is amazing, like clockwork with the Nationals and with Hellickson this season, unless he's got a no-no going, how when they get to the 3rd time through the order, Hellickson's coming out of the game, and he gave up the 1 run, and it's just interesting. And they've got a lot of guys still in the bullpen that can come in, but you think about the way that Hellickson's been used this season, and it wasn't until he was facing the Padres last week, and literally hardly anyone had seen a bag, no hitter, and that's the only time this season he's come out 3rd time through the order.
0-2 the count to Descalso. Saw Trevor Gott a moment ago in the Washington bullpen. He is ready to roll for Paul Goldschmidt next. That's our best guess. Ball and 2 strikes. You still have to game plan against a 5-time All-Star, even though he has not been as effective as you'd guess to start the season.
Well, because you know what he is. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, and he swears there's no injury, there's nothing wrong with him physically. So you're just waiting. You don't want to be the team. You definitely don't want to be the guy that breaks Paul Goldschmidt out of this slump.
And if you're a pitcher or an opposing team, you can care less about those stats. They go out the window. All you can remember is a 5-time All-Star that's smashed for the last, it seems like the last decade or so.
Swing and a miss. Solis challenging Descalso with the gas. So here comes Goldschmidt, and here comes Dave Martinez for his right-hander. 1 out, 1 on, and the call goes out to right-hander Trevor Gott. A pitching change, and we'll be right back. $6 million. Download Beat the Streak today in the App Store or on MLB.com/BTS. Elsewhere around the league, we take a look at today's high performance play, brought to you by Mother's Polish. Twins and Angels, 9th inning, 1-on-1 out in a 1-1 game. Zach Duke on. Zach Cozart singles to left. It brings in Chris Young for the 2-1 Angels walk-off victory. Shohei Ohtani was terrific in this one. Another Sunday with double-digit strikeouts for him. He punched out 11. Did not factor in the decision, of course. And in the AL West, the Angels just a game off the pace after splitting their 4-game series with the Twins. Only one back of the defending World Series champs. A pitching change. Trevor Gott has an arsenal that includes a mid to upper 90s fastball. And that big-time gas among the things that has given Paul Goldschmidt a problem to start the year, Buster.
That's right, Matt. This year, Paul Goldschmidt has seen 63 pitches at 96 miles per hour plus, and he does not have a hit on those pitches. It's the most pitches seen at that velocity without a hit for anybody in the big leagues this year.
Gott's also got a change and a curveball in the repertoire. Expecting to stay with the hard stuff here.
Woo!
There's a fastball at 96 to put Goldschmidt behind 0-2.
And this is what we've seen from Paul Goldschmidt and his struggles is taking pitches that he normally, he loves fastballs on the outer part of the plate. That's something that he's slugged. He's 5th best in baseball on those pitches, but then he'll swing at the ones out of the zone.
There's a rocket to right, but hit right at Bryce Harper for round number 2. You know, that might be one of the at-bats that Dave Magadan's talked about, is Goldschmidt goes from chasing to just missing. He didn't miss this ball. Right on the screws, but right at Harper.
Well, and that's how you hit 95 plus. Simplify, and that's the swing that he wants, and he keeps swinging like that, he'll get out of the slump.
Here's A.J. Pollock now. He has singled and grounded out tonight.
And that's how you get out of a slump. That's a small victory. But when you're struggling, you're looking for small bites to get out of slumps. That's a good sign for Paul Goldschmidt.
Peralta aboard at first. He reached on the error that opened the inning. There's a jam shot roller that gets through both Turner and Defoe. Wow. You talk about threading a needle with a ground ball.
You know, as a third baseman, you're taught to catch anything you can as much as you can. But he probably overreached there a bit. And the Nationals, with 2 misplays, have opened up a nice opportunity for the D-back.
Score it as a single off the bat of A.J. Pollock, and it gives Steven Souza a big opportunity as the tying run with 2 gone here in the inning. Quick throw into second, or first rather, where Pollock is just back in time.
Steven Souza Jr. looking for his first hit in his last 24 at-bats against right-handed pitching. Been struggling from guys from the right side, and what a better time for the D-backs than him to break that streak than right now.
Pollock runs, no throw down. It's an easy bag for A.J. Pollock, his 9th. Runners in scoring position now on a 2-strike count to Steven Souza. The Diamondbacks bullpen, or rather the Nationals bullpen, has been a big part of their ability to take all 3 games of the series so far. They are unscored upon in almost 9 innings of work. Brandon Kinsler's up and throwing in the bullpen behind Gott. Same set of Archie Bradley in the home pen. You got Jorge De La Rosa up as well, the left-hander.
Great job by Severino, and he is having a night. We've seen a couple plays that he's made. Max Scherzer, when we had him for an interview, was just crediting the defense, the ability, especially with Matt Wieters on the DL. And this ball isn't perfectly put in front because it's got that spin, but he gets his hip, he gets his body in enough position to at least keep it to the side in front instead of getting by him. I mean, that is a dirty, wild pitch. He's still able to keep a run from getting on the board.
So ball and 2 strikes on Souza. Chased upstairs, a swing and a miss. Trevor Gott shuts the door and strands a pair. Still a 3-run lead for the Nationals. Up.
And the poll question for this week, which team will sign Bryce Harper when he becomes a free agent in the fall? The Nationals, the Cubs, the Dodgers, other, and the choice that got the most votes? How about other? More than the Nationals, more than the Cubs, more than the Dodgers, more than 60,000 votes. I got a lot of feedback on Twitter, folks saying, what about the Phillies?
Yeah, that'd be my pick. We talked about it this week on your podcast, and Phillies was my #1. Even over the teams listed, just because you think about the payroll, which is the biggest news about Bryce Harper is how much money you're going to have to pay. Plus in that ballpark, what they're doing with their rebuilding, to get a star like Harper to be kind of the headline on that, I'm all Phillies.
Bryce is homered tonight. He'll bat 3rd here in the top of the 7th inning, and Zach Godley continues on the mound for Arizona. Well, whoever signs Bryce Harper better start rubbing their nickels together now, because it ain't going to be cheap. Back to Godley, and one away to start the 7th.
And the conundrum for the Lerner family, who owns the Nationals, they're all in. They need to win this year. They hope to sign Bryce Harper at the end of the year. But if they come up short on both, they basically go into 2019 with another disappointing year with not going deep into the playoffs. And for the first time in 8 years, a Bryce Harper-less Nationals with the talent, the power, and the star power that he brings to that organization.
He'll face somebody else in what will be his 4th plate appearance coming up in a bit, because the Diamondbacks are going to the bullpen. A pitching change. We'll be right back. Milwaukee Brewers as Goldschmidt, Pollock, and the rest of the bunch take on a pretty good team from Milwaukee. Visit Diamondbacks.com for tickets. And boy, the Diamondbacks are doing something really neat here between Memorial Day and Labor Day. A ballpark summer pass. 40 games for $80. No better place to spend your summer for a lot of us that love coming to this ballpark and Chase Field. Pitching change, the first of the night for Arizona, as the 37-year-old 15-year vet Jorge De La Rosa takes over on the mound. Real good numbers for a guy who has done the majority of his work in the big league level as a starter. He is still the Colorado Rockies' all-time winningest pitcher as he goes to work on Trey Turner here with one gone.
You're going to see a lot of pitches from him. Fastball, cutter, split, and curveball, but it's the split that's his go-to. Throws it almost 40% of the time.
Popped him up. And there are 2 away. That'll bring up the man responsible for tonight's Corona premiere moment, Bryce Harper, and his 13th of the year.
And this is on a 3-0 count. Zach Godley went to the fastball. Bryce Harper happy, first of all, to see a fastball. Doesn't see a lot of them. He made him pay.
Some guys just have a different sound, and Bryce Harper, boy, does that sound good off his bat.
So 2 gone, bases empty for him here. You know, we kind of guessed that this weekend might represent a little turning point for Bryce. He got here 2 for his last 25. He's homered today and has gone 5 for his last 16. And I think that comes at a pretty good time, because the Nationals go back home tomorrow to start a homestand, 2 against the Yankees. You're going to need everything you can muster against that Yankee lineup.
No.
2 balls and no strikes. Just his second career home run on a 3-0 count.
Just the fact that it's his second hardest hit since 2015, because that guy crushes a lot of pitches. You think about the home run earlier, you saw 115 miles an hour. It leaves the bat. It came in at 90. So that turnaround just shows you the bat speed, the power of Harper. 25-degree launch angle, and he crushed it 449 feet. Almost got the red truck out in right field.
When Bryce Harper swings like that, with all the torque he generates and the sound, by the way, I mean, it sounds like something out of Game of Thrones. Like it just sounds different.
You know, and it tells you a little bit more about his mentality. You saw Paul Goldschmidt be a little bit passive, Jessica. You talked about him taking 2 fastballs and then lining out. I love the fact that on a 3-0 pitch, he lets the dog eat. That tells you there's a lot of good things. Good things for not only Bryce Harper, but for the Nationals that are already playing well. You like to see get him going a little bit this summer.
Guys, I'm fascinated too by, he's been a completely different hitter in the month of April compared to the month of May. In the month of April, he took 37 walks. He had an on-base percentage of .467. This month, we're almost halfway through, he's taken just 3 walks. It's a completely different approach at the plate for a guy who's an established big league star.
De La Rosa's 2-2 misses low, full count now.
Part of that's where he was in the lineup. I mean, he moves up to the leadoff spot. He starts to see more strikes. Now he's batting second. Those are the numbers that Buster was talking about. I mean, 38-3, a significant difference. But a part of it is the mindset, Alex. I mean, he got, whether he was in the top of the lineup or not, into a mindset of like, I'm going to swing the bat 3-0. I'm going to swing the bat instead of taking the walk.
Swing and a miss. De La Rosa puts him away to cap off a 1-2-3 7th. Up and stretching in Phoenix tonight. Home side looking for some offensive support. Down by 3. 3 solo shots have led the way on this Mother's Day for the visiting Washington Nationals, who have intentions of sweeping a 4-game weekend series here in Phoenix as we welcome you back to the ballpark. A pitching change during the 7th inning stretch as Brandon Kintzler enters the fray. And Brandon did so moments ago in style. He'll go to work on Chris Owings and then Alex Avila and Ketel Marte here in the home half of inning number 7. A ball and a strike to count to Chris Owings, who is hitless tonight in 2 tries. Well, Brandon Kintzler making his 22nd appearance of the year, a guy with closer's experience.
He's a guy with reverse splits too. Good numbers against righties, but he's been dominant in the past against lefties, only hitting 194 against them last season.
Just a single run tonight for the Diamondbacks, a run on only 4 hits. Jeremy Hellickson was great for 5. Sammy Solis and Trevor Gott have also worked tonight. And now it's Kintzler here in the 7th. There's a solid base hit back up the middle. Well, we mentioned that Brandon got into the game in style, and here's what we were talking about. The Diamondbacks have brought back the old bullpen cart.
Yes, yes. And it was Sean Doolittle this series that was one of the first to be able to use that in this stadium. And now Kintzler jumping off on board.
We borrowed some of ESPN's Formula One coverage. And there it is from the back seat. Yeah, there have only been 3 customers so far. Colin McHugh of the Astros, Sean Doolittle earlier in this series, and then Kintzler tonight. None of the Diamondbacks have taken the ride yet. Here's Alex Avila.
I love it. It's like approaching the par 3.
I'll tell you what, too, in talking with Sean Doolittle about it, he said he thinks there's actually a practical application to it. He hopes that everyone kind of gets over how it's different and starts using it. He talked about how he got to the mound faster, he wasn't out of breath, and he said that he typically struggles to get through all his warm-up pitches before the clock runs out on him. He said, I was standing out there 45 seconds to go, and I'd gotten all my warm-ups in.
Didn't guys used to do that in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Big thing.
It was the preferred method of transportation back in the day. I'm not sure where we lost our way. There's Sean. If anybody's going to try to do something a little differently, it's Sean Doolittle, by the way.
Setting a trend, though, is what I love. Got a teammate now on board. Next thing you know, every visiting team at least is going to be like, let's try this out.
Yeah.
Free ride.
Avila behind 0-2. Little check in for Owings. Well, Brandon Kintzler he's one of the people. He is one of the salt of the earth type guys. And if anybody were to take a ride in an old school bullpen cart, he and Doolittle are great candidates. It's a guy that worked at a Cold Stone Creamery, worked as a limo driver at a hotel in Vegas, played independent ball. None of what he has achieved has come easily. He takes none of it for granted. So if somebody's going to offer him a ride, by gosh, he'll take it. Next pitch to Avila, fouled away. Well, Jess, you asked about the old school carts, something that began in the 50s. They were phased out in the mid-90s, but man, were they cool.
Yes.
Nothing fancy about that one. And how about Goose Gossage getting out of like a pace
like a
car?
Real car.
Yeah.
It's not a golf cart.
Love it.
Oh yeah, drive that thing onto the field.
Oh, that's aggressive, right? Still a ball and 2 strikes to Alex Avila.
Guys, I was curious about the conversation, right? You got the driver, your reliever, you get in the cart, and what do you talk about? And Sean Doolittle said that he asked the driver to drop him off on the outfield end of the visiting dugout, and the driver's going fast. He's going, slow down, slow down, slow down, right here, because he knew that his teammates wouldn't be used to the cart going there. He didn't want to run anybody over, so he was trying to get the driver to slow down as he got closer.
When it doesn't get used a lot, there's not the whole protocol of like,
yeah, that's
little
right.
things like running over your teammates.
And Avila strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. This is Sean Doolittle kind of leading the health brigade before the game, right? Juice shots. Salud. Steniasu, as they say in Athens.
Best kind of shot if you're going to have one before a game. Fill your body with vitamins and veggies instead of the other.
1 out, 1 on now for Ketel Marte. I mean, beyond being an interesting guy, Sean Doolittle is also one of the best in terms of save percentages, strike percentages, efficiency, reliability. The 9th inning was a problem in D.C. for a couple of years before they brought him over last year. He's a good one.
Brandon Kinsler right now. I talked about his reverse splits. You saw it with the at-bat with Alex Avila, lefty. Now with Marte up to bat. Watch him front door these hitters, and there he goes away. But he got Avila out on a changeup off of a 2-seam fastball he had thrown before that, right at the hip of these lefties. And what that looks like, it's going to hit him. The 2-seam fastball will get that run that comes back over the plate. He follows it up with the changeup. That's why he has success to the left side of the plate.
You know, with the national bullpen, they've been the Achilles heel of this team. You know, actually the entire Bryce Harper era, they've never had a lockdown bullpen. And it's cost them, especially in September and October.
That's why they went and got guys like Brandon Kinsler.
Oh yeah, there was wholesale changes at the deadline last year. They brought in Madsen, they brought in Kinsler, they brought in Doolittle.
Three closers.
Been a little bit better this year. Into the opposite field, and that's a fair ball. Boy, Marte just kind of flipped the wrist out there, and he's got a 2-base hit that put the Diamondbacks in business here with 1 gone in the 7th.
You know, I like Ketel Marte's at bats tonight. His first hit of the night, he gets an inside fastball, blops it into left field. Then he gets this one. Watch how simple it is. No even real follow through, just a flip of the wrist to get to this pitch. Battle it off. So he's covered both sides of the plate with a simple, just get me a base hit swing.
Ketel Marte channeling his inner Campy Campaneris there. And there are runners in scoring position with 1 gone. Pinch hitter will be Gerard Dyson. It's back-to-back innings where Arizona's had runners at 2nd and 3rd. They'd love it to translate into something on the scoreboard here.
And a great opportunity here for Dyson. Ground ball up the middle. They're conceding the run. Ground ball to 3rd. Ground ball to 1st. Will probably have to hold at 3rd base. So if you're Dyson, you're thinking early in the count, give me a good pitch to hit and hit it right back, right where Cowboy Joe West is at, right back up the middle.
Dyson with a rocket back up the middle. Owings scores. Marte scores. And it's a 1-run ball game.
And terrific approach here by Dyson. Following instructions, going right at the Cowboy Joe West, the 40-year veteran crew chief. Right back up the box. Aggressive, 2 RBIs, and the Diamondbacks are right back in this ball game.
Gerard Dyson's had a lot of success in his career as a pinch hitter. He is a .304 career pinch hitter. 2 for 4 as a pinch hitter this year. Derek Lilliquist comes out to chat with his right-hander, and they'll let him face David Peralta, talking again about the reverse splits. 2 left-handed bats due up now for Arizona in Peralta and Descalso.
What I've been surprised with Kinsler right now is he's not hitting the glove on the glove side, that left side of the plate. He's leaving his fastball middle and away, and with these contact hitters, that's all they need to be able to find grass.
A very dangerous hitter here in David Peralta. He's tripled in a run tonight. That extends a modest hitting streak to 7 straight. One out, 1 on, 2 in.
That's the pitch right there. That's the 2-seam fastball that comes inner half and comes back over the plate at 92. This is the one that he was missing to the 2 hits he just gave up. But watch this pitch. Watch the pause there from Peralta. Like, this is going to hit me. No, it's a strike. It's not easy to do. When he does it very well against lefties.
And look for the Diamondbacks to continue to put the pressure on the Nationals. Expect Dyson here to run in the next few pitches.
Dyson stays put. Peralta lays off, and it's 1-1. It's a pretty good cat and mouse game here, because not only is Dyson super fast, Pedro Severino's had a lot of success cutting down would-be thieves. He's thrown out 7 of the 17 that have tried to run on his watch. Dyson stays put again. Peralta shoots it foul.
The Nationals as a whole have thrown out 48% of attempted base stealers. That's second in all of baseball. So Dyson's got that in the back of his mind, but right now he's not running off of Severino. He's looking at a point he can run off of Kinsler.
And Kinsler's fairly fast to the plate. He's 1.2. 1.3 is the average. So 1.2 is very fast to the plate.
Dave McKay, the first base coach, regarded as one of the best in the business at figuring out pitchers' moves. He's been in that first base box for years with a couple of different teams, a few as a matter of fact. Oakland, St. Louis, here in the desert. He has a lot of his proprietary stuff that he keeps on an iPad that is among the more closely guarded secrets in the game. And Dave is very particular where he stands, too. Did you see him look down there as he took his spot?
Very superstitious.
Yeah.
That spot is worn out. And Peralta chases a swing and a miss, strike 3.
And this is such a good sequence from Pedro Severino to Brandon Kinsler to call these pitches. We showed you the 2-seam fastball inside that kind of got Peralta conscious of the inner half. Then he comes away with the fastball, elevates it. But look at Peralta's body. He's protecting the inner half, meaning that front side is flying open, and he just whiffs at the pitch away.
So here's Descalso now with 2 gone. You can hear Dave McKay talk and get back. He saw the move. We want to show you the spot because Dave McKay is also the most hated man in visiting ballparks, because the Diamondbacks will go on the road and he'll kick his spots into the turf. So grounds crews all over the league, he's a marked man by those guys.
I mean, literally just 2 holes.
Yeah, I mean, that he's marking his own spot because that's the view that he feels is the best with a runner on. Now,
yeah, but don't move like an inch to the left
so
or right.
What? So he goes back to his spot. Watch him look down. There we go. There's my spot.
Such
Good.
One of the most respected coaches in all of baseball, and his 34th consecutive season as an MLB coach.
0-1 to Descalso. I think MLB.com Steve Gilbert is working on a feature, an expose with groundskeepers around the league venting their grievances against Dave McKay for the damage in the turf.
That's a must watch.
A little larger lead at first, and Dyson's back in time again.
You know, I know Paul Goldschmidt is hitting .211, but boy, is this a nice situation for him to get up with 2 outs and have a big hit for the Diamondbacks. The type of a bat that could turn your season around.
It is Goldschmidt that would get a chance next if Descalso can keep the inning alive. Well, you got to think Dyson wants to run. He hasn't tried it yet.
And sometimes as a base runner, you can't pick something up. You just don't feel comfortable, and you don't want to end the rally.
Two balls and a strike to Descalso. Now he's getting a healthy secondary lead. He just hasn't shown.
Well, he's got to be perfect. I mean, you got Brandon Kinsler, who's a 1-2 to home plate, so that's a quick time to get there. You got Pedro Severino behind home plate, who's thrown out almost all runners that have tried to attempt on him. You've got the perfect storm, so you have to find the right time. If you don't get it, you don't go.
There he goes. Full count.
Oh, he had it too. That's when you're thinking, man, you had to foul off that pitch. Good jump.
And if you're Mark Reynolds for the Nationals, you should go behind Dyson and actually protect the line, staying away from the double, forcing the Diamondbacks to get 2 hits, not 1 to score the run.
What's with the cell phone lights, by the way?
I think
I'm waiting for Freebird now. Dyson runs again. Descalso pops it up. I guess those are rally cell phone lights here in Arizona. It
definitely has a concert feel to it.
Doesn't it? Yeah. It's kind of a thing now.
It was used to be banned, I remember, because it was so distracting for a hitter, but that was when you had people behind center field.
These folks here want their tacos, let's face it. You saw the sign. There's nothing subtle about their desire to get 5 runs and 3 free crunchy tacos at Taco Bell tomorrow. That's what happens here. Look at those guys behind the plate. They don't care who wins. They want their tacos. Dyson runs again, and Descalso sends one into the gap. Dyson will score easily, and Daniel Descalso comes up clutch again. He's going to take an extra base on the ball that gets away from Severino, and this one's all tied at 4.
Now terrific hitting here on a fastball low and in. Actually sails out over the plate, head down. Beautiful swing here. Now 2 mistakes here on this ball. Trey Turner's first mistake is by throwing the ball home. There was absolutely no play with Dyson running on the play. And the second one is Severino just sitting there, not expecting a throw.
He was back down on the squat.
That should be a double error.
Arizona has gotten themselves up off the mat to tie it. Another pitching change, a brand new storyline.
Great matchup.
National Talk, a fun 1-hour breakdown of baseball's hottest topics with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar. You can also watch it live on the ESPN app if you're at work. There is more energy here in the ballpark at this moment than there has been all night. That's because the Diamondbacks have scored 3 to tie it in the last of the 7th. Paul Goldschmidt will face the new Washington pitcher, the veteran right-hander Ryan Madson, with the go-ahead run 90 feet away. Madson making his 3rd appearance in this 4-game series, and he gets a fastball past Goldschmidt to put him behind 0-2.
And Madson's a 3-pitch guy, terrific stuff. Plus fastball around 95 miles an hour, curveball, and the best pitch is a Bugs Bunny changeup.
They're really humping up there. 97.
Yeah. I think you got the memo. The Buster, Paul Goldschmidt, 63 pitches that he's seen, 96 plus, the most in baseball that has not gotten a hit on.
Keeps the count alive as we take you back to the Descalso at bat that tied the ball game.
And several things here on this play. Trey Turner, before the pitch is thrown, should know that any ball in the gap, concede to Dyson because he's a world-class runner. The second mistake here by Severino, a mental one. He never moved. He was a statue. So that's a mental mistake by Severino.
Why was he back down in the squat too?
Goldschmidt with a swing and a miss. The rally does net 3. We're headed to the 8th in a 4-4 ball game.
Presented by Taco Bell's new Wild Naked Chicken Chalupa, and in part by Roundup for Lawns. Kills weeds, not the lawn.
Howie Kendrick leads things off in the visiting half of the 8th. A 3-run rally by the Arizona Diamondbacks in their half of the 7th has made this a high leverage situation, and as such, the Diamondbacks go to their biggest arm in the bullpen, right-hander Archie Bradley.
He is their guy, and he defines right now bullpen usage of putting not always the best guy in the 9th, but the best guy against the best part of the lineup.
Howie Kendrick with a ground ball to the shortstop hole that kicks off Marte's glove, and Kendrick's aboard on his 2nd base hit of the game.
Curveball here where slides for it, do or die. Not a bad try. Kendrick runs well, so that was probably his only shot.
Leadoff hitters aboard now for Matt Adams. Mark Reynolds next. He is one of the 3 D-backs or rather Nationals that has homered tonight. Just went back to 2009 for a sec. I'll be all right. 0-1 the count to Adams.
And Archie Bradley, considered by many the MVP of this year so far for the Diamondbacks. Great matchup here. Power against power. Matt Adams, a terrific fastball hitter.
On the ground on a couple of hops. Smothered by Owings. A great play to his left for out number 1.
Great defensive play here. Gets on his feet. Has plenty of time. Gathers his feet and a nice throw.
So a runner at second with 1 gone now for Reynolds, as Alex Avila takes a little moment to burn a visit. As we mentioned, Mark Reynolds is homered. Welcome to the Nationals. Did this a bunch as a Diamondback. 121 times, as a matter of fact. His first is a Nat. He's got the go-ahead run in scoring position with 1 gone. Fastball fouled away. So on Mother's Day today, for Archie Bradley, of course, is the case with a lot of players. Mom was a big influence. Imagine the kind of influence mom would have if she's not only your mom, but your high school principal, as was the case for Archie growing up in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Would make for a rather compromising situation if, say, ever an expulsion was in your future. In one sense, it's a little easier because when you come home, you don't have to explain to mom what happened at school that day.
Yeah, but you don't have the time to make up an alternative story.
Bradley takes a look at Kendrick and comes home missing high to fall behind 2 balls and a strike.
Bradley's got a little bit of that Scherzer emotion, personality, just the mental, I'm going to come right at you. When they played the Nationals earlier this season, he went 3 straight fastballs to Bryce Harper, 96, boom, 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 at a time when everybody was walking Bryce Harper. Gives you a sense of who Bradley is.
You know, it's hard to imagine. Archie Bradley's been working out of the bullpen now for a little over a year. You've become kind of used to him coming out of there, high-octane guy, getting the team out of situations. There was discussion around here for a long time as to what role he would finally settle into. He had a lot of advocates talking him up as a closer. There were a lot of people that still wanted him as a starting pitcher. No gray area about how he's used now. Mike Butcher and Torey Lovullo want him in the highest leverage relief situation, as you mentioned, Jess, whether that's the 7th, 8th, or 9th.
That's foul.
2-2.
You know, he accepted a scholarship to play football and baseball at the University of Oklahoma. He is such a valuable piece for Torey Lovullo. And again, when you talk to a lot of the folks with the Diamondbacks, they all say he has been the MVP of this year's club.
Missed up to fill the count now. 3-2 to Mark Reynolds. Trying to keep his run of scoreless outings in check. 11 straight at the start of play tonight. A full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Mark Reynolds. Kendrick at second with 1 away.
Oh my
Reynolds
goodness.
to left and well hit again. Oh my goodness, has Mark Reynolds come back to haunt the Diamondbacks? Wow.
And just, this is the power I was talking about. Tremendous power, gap to gap. Backs Archie Bradley into a fastball count on 3-2. Fastball right down the middle, center court, and it exploded off Mark Reynolds' bat. Terrific swing. It had the sound and the distance.
For Mark Reynolds, his 26th career multi-home run game. And I would imagine few sweeter than tonight, coming back to where he began his major league career. What a way to debut.
Oh. And make a point, too.
Michael Taylor with a fly ball for Souza, and out number 2.
If you're Mark Reynolds, it's got to feel good. Base hit. You hit a 2-1 curveball for a home run, and then you hit a 3-2, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, a country mile to left center.
This is everybody feeling good with the Nationals. This is Mike Rizzo feeling good about bringing him aboard and bringing him up to the big league roster when he did. This is Dave Martinez feeling pretty good about where he put him in the lineup tonight. Here's Severino now with 2 gone.
Well, and to Buster's point earlier, when Ryan Zimmerman comes back, I mean, the Nationals have a good problem, but they got a problem. Matt Adams is hitting. Reynolds is now hitting. Zimmerman, you know, you want to get him back in there, give him a chance to be what he was last season.
Severino with a bouncer up the middle. Tricky hop off the bag. Owens stays with it to retire the side. However, the 4th home run of the night by the Nats, the 2nd by former Diamondback Mark Reynolds, has redistanced Washington back on top by 2. Buccigross and Kenny Mayne, they'll got a complete wrap-up of Cavs-Celtics Game 1. Tiger Woods Players Championship resurgence. And Barry Melrose is in studio to break down Cavs Lightning Game 2. SportsCenter's next right here on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Mark Reynolds making his mark tonight. 2 home runs in his first game as a Nat. Ryan Madsen will continue. He'll face A.J. Pollock to lead things off in the last of the 8th. Pollock, Souza, and Owings for Arizona. Well, a couple of hits tonight for A.J. Pollock. He's gone deep 5 times in the last 12 and is among those who benefited from his time with J.D. Martinez, as we discussed earlier tonight. And he's among those, Buster, who has taken his pregame prep to something of a new level.
Yeah, and he did that when he was a teammate with JD at the end of last season. He heard that JD Martinez was traveling with his personal hitting coach about 45 minutes away. So what AJ told him was, hey, you don't have to do that. Come over to my house in the morning. And so JD would show up with his coach about 11:30, and then of course AJ would go out there and they would talk about hitting and do hitting. And he said if we had a 10-game homestand, we would do this probably 4 mornings, and he really felt like those conversations helped him. And here are the batting cages. This is AJ took these pictures for us today. That's his indoor cage, and he talked about the value of that. And he said a lot of what JD talked about was stuff that he had talked about before, but it reinforced it about letting the ball get deep, working through the middle of the field, and certainly we've seen him off to this great start in a really important year for him. He may be the #2 free agent outfielder after Bryce Harper this fall.
Buster, first of all, that is so sweet to have a batting cage like that in your house.
Line to shortstop for Turner. Steven Souza mic'd up on Mother's Day.
Oh, man. Baseball's a fickle game. It's been a week. I got 3 hits. Feels like it's been a year. This next one, though, I hit a nice, easy line drive up the middle.
Deep thoughts with Steven Souza.
He's great.
Coming to a theater near
great.
you. He's been great tonight.
Oh. I think he needs a base hit up the middle, though, just to make that entire thing perfect.
Yeah.
Can we take him on the road with us every Sunday?
Really.
Deep thoughts from Souza and Wright.
You know, but getting back to the batting cage, and I know, Jess, you were impressed by what A.J. Pollock has in his home. Almost up the middle, instead just pulled to shortstop for out #2. The Diamondbacks have done something I think that years ago, even a few short years ago, would have been frowned upon. So the personal hitting coach that Buster talked about, gentleman by the name of Robert Van Scoyac, who is very good at what he does. He had been working with J.D. Martinez. He'd worked with a lot of big league hitters in the past. Instead of kind of pushing away the outside voices, the Diamondbacks decided to hire him. So it's a 3-headed monster, Alex. You touched on this earlier, with 3 hitting coaches, 1 main hitting coach, and you're looking at him there, Dave Magadan. But instead of just pushing away the outside voice, the Diamondbacks are breaking ground, I think, by bringing these guys aboard.
They should, because you talk to hitters now, and everyone's got a guy. And it's not that you want everybody to have all these different voices, but you want the voices to come through one. And so to go back to your team after working in the offseason with one person that you trust and believe in, to have that same voice come through your hitting coach so that you're able to make everything one. Instead of hearing one thing from somebody, something else from another. It's so important. I love that the Diamondbacks are doing it.
And give Mike Hazen, the GM, a lot of credit, who's a disciple from Theo Epstein and worked under the tutelage of Dave Dombrowski before getting the big job. Here's another example of them collecting analytics and information and putting it into play.
0-2 pitch to Chris Owings is swung on and missed, and Ryan Madsen with an all-business last of the 8th. We're headed to the 9th in the desert tonight with the Nationals on top 6-4. Rays and Royals at 7 Eastern. Wednesday night, Tanner Arc, and these Nationals are home to take on the New York Yankees, led by CC Sabathia. And then Jess, Buster, Alex, and I, a week from tonight, are in Houston for the Indians and Astros. And Tuesday's game between the Astros and Angels, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, is available on ESPN+. Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell. A 6-4 lead for the visiting Nationals, who are an inning away from finishing off a 4-game sweep. Pinch hitter for Washington looking for a little bit more late, as Andrew Stevenson faces a new arm on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Literally, just recalled from AAA Reno today, is right-hander Jimmy Sherfy.
Fastball, curveball, throws a curveball more. It seems to be the theme of the night. Zach Godley throwing a curveball. Sherfy will throw his curveball 50% of the time.
Broke out a pretty good one there to Stevenson to go in front 0-2.
Hey guys, when he talked with the reporters before the game tonight, he said that down in the minor leagues, he's been working on improving his pace on the mound. Felt like he'd slowed down a lot. Now he's trying to work a lot faster.
Music to my ears, yeah. Buster. And he strikes out Stevenson. There's that big hammer again. That's a good one.
Well, the depth on this pitch that he gets, it's in the strike zone, out of the hand. And you get the report coming out of the dugout. Look, he's going to give you a lot of curveballs, but this is the curveball you get that it looks like it's there, and then it's at your back foot. No way to hit it.
So one gone now for Wilmer Defoe, looking for his first hit of the ball game. It's been 6 runs on 9 hits for Washington. 4 home runs. Mark Reynolds leading the way with a pair. So it seems an inappropriate night, with 10 runs on the board combined, to talk about how runs in this ballpark are down. It is a fact tonight, notwithstanding, that it's not just the Diamondbacks, but whoever's playing here, visitors included, have found that the humidor that's in use here in Arizona has in fact made things a little different. Not better, not worse, just different. It's the Diamondbacks' take that they're trying to kind of normalize the conditions. And you can see some of the numbers. It's hard to ignore that offense here in this ballpark is down. Into the opposite field, and Peralta drifts over to make the play on it for out number 2.
Well, and of all the numbers, what stands out to me is, and you're going to love this, it's the exit velocity. And you just think flat out, how is the ball coming off the bat? And it is still early, but this season, the exit velocity at Chase Field for all hitters is 25th of all stadiums in baseball. Last season, it was 3rd. And that's not, you can't argue that, is it just better pitching? Is it just, no, that's just when guys square up, it's not coming off the bat as hard as it was last year.
That's an incredible stat. And the other thing, talking to several of the pitchers from the Diamondbacks, they actually said the ball actually feels softer, which to me was alarming.
1-1 to Turner. We asked Torey Lovullo about it, and he said, you know, he's going to kind of reserve judgment until at least the All-Star break. But I think Dave Magadan had a great take on it when we visited with the Arizona hitting coach yesterday. He was a part of the early days in San Diego at Petco Park, when the discussion among the home hitters was, this ballpark's too big, the marine layer air, it's killing me, blah, blah, blah. You felt like the veterans had that mindset. That permeated the thinking of the younger players and poisoned to a degree the home guys about their own ballpark. They don't want to let that happen here, and I don't think they are. They've done a good job to kind of stem that conversation.
Well, I think it can creep into your head, and if you're sitting there and you're Paul Goldschmidt, who almost got hit by a foul ball here, he hit a ball a couple nights ago to the warning track, and he's struggling. And boy, if he starts thinking about the humidor on the way home, I can see him being very upset. A big home run on a Friday night can turn your week around and potentially your year around.
There's ball 4 to Trey Turner.
Well, and let's face it, you get a hold of one, you're going to get it out. And the Nationals have shown that tonight, hitting 4. So it's more of a difference of, you know, and it's yet to be measured, but from what the guys are explaining, it's that foot and a half. So it's that warning track that otherwise would have left. We saw Chris Owings in this series rob a home run. So you see those balls and it adds up. Even Davey Martinez, the manager for the Nationals, said his guys are hearing it a little bit from the Diamondbacks. Just that chatter of like, we got this humidor thing. Like, look out, you're going to see it.
Here's Bryce Harper.
Guys, that conversation might get easier for the Diamondbacks sometime in the future because there is discussion within Major League Baseball about standardizing the handling of baseballs in every ballpark with the humidor here. The temperature's kept at 70 degrees, humidity at 50%, and it may be soon that Major League Baseball is going to require all teams to do that.
Ball with no strikes to Bryce Harper, who has homered tonight despite the humidor or not. Boy, Turner was running with a big jump and Bryce fouled it away. It's 1-1.
Turner hasn't noticed him as a foul ball. He thinks he's got the bag.
Trey's still unsure as to whether or not he actually took the base.
Joe West has got to inform him and go back. He's like, you're kidding me. I got the bag.
Penny for your thoughts, Joe. It'll be something like these kids. So a ball and a strike to Harper.
So I was informed by a member of security that Joe West almost had me put in handcuffs tonight.
Does that come as a surprise to you, Buster?
No, because the last time I saw him, I mentioned in the clubhouse that, you know, the last time we'd seen him, there had been extra innings. And he was very upset that I mentioned that before the game. And that night, we played like 16 innings.
Totally your fault.
So he was going to lock me down tonight.
I'm in on that. It's a real thing.
Harper with a bouncer right into the shift for Owings to retire the side. Well, we couldn't figure out the effect of the humidor, so yesterday we sent Alex to investigate. And I think we might have miscommunicated what we meant.
Oh my goodness. I'm cringing.
From TD Garden in Boston. Then we'll have the 2018 NBA Draft Lottery from Chicago for the first time ever, by the way. And then we're back to the Garden for Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Cavs and Celtics, who were winners today. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, and everything streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Sean Doolittle will attempt to close the door and finish off a 4-game sweep tonight. Unafraid to ride on the bullpen cart. Blazing a trail. It's the third National to do that tonight. They've gotten more use out of that in a weekend series than anybody. Doolittle has been terrific this year. 8 for 8 in save opportunities, an ERA around $1.50. as he'll go to work on the bottom third of the Diamondbacks lineup card here in the last of the ninth. Nick Ahmed leads things off, pinch hitting for Alex Avila. He'll be followed by Marte, and then the number 9 spot. 0-1. Ahmed getting a night off as a starter tonight. Tough duty here without swinging the bat all night and having to face one of the best in the game. 0-2.
And Doolittle, one of the few pitchers that can come in, basically throw one pitch. You're basically going to see all heaters. You're going to see high heaters. As a hitter, you want to make sure you get that ball down.
Little flare out over first base, and the leadoff hitter's aboard. Fights off an 0-2 fastball. It wasn't pretty, but it's going to bring the tying run to the plate.
And this is a beautiful thing here for Ahmed. Fastball in at 95 miles an hour. A thing of beauty. And a nice start to the Diamondback 9th inning.
Well, it's not a thing of beauty for Sean Doolittle. I mean, that's where you beat a guy. I mean, you get him in on the hands where you want to locate that pitch. He's jammed, but he finds a spot for a base hit.
So now Ketel Marte, who's had 3 great plate appearances tonight. He is 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored. Pinch hitter waiting on deck next. It's John Ryan Murphy, who happens to be celebrating a birthday today. 0-2. So Ahmed singled after getting to 0-2. Same count here for Marte. Sean Doolittle, by the way, would get my vote if there were ever a competition for most interesting man in baseball. College psych major, grew up in a military household. Dad was in the Air Force. And his military ties go much deeper than just that generation. He is the 7th cousin of Lieutenant Colonel, later General James Jimmy Doolittle of the Doolittle Raid, one of the first U.S. counterstrikes after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1942. Nibbling here, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. He and his wife have a philanthropic side. He has hosted Syrian war refugees. He's an unapologetic Star Wars devotee. He's a Metallica aficionado. He's used social media to lament the length of CVS receipts, among other things. And he gets Marte to pop it up. 1 gone in the last of the 9th.
I was talking to Sean before the game, and he was talking about him and his wife when they get back after this road trip. They're actually going to go to a shelter back in D.C. called Smile, which is an underprivileged youth LGBT shelter that they're just going to go visit and hang out with, be role models, talk to him. He's so involved. He was in Oakland. Now they're starting to get involved at DC. Big heart, him and his wife Erin.
So here's John Ryan Murphy now. As mentioned, celebrating a birthday today. The story kind of writes itself, doesn't it? Guy pinch hitting, down by 2 with a runner aboard on his birthday.
My former teammate with the Yankees came up through the Yankee organization. And a very good defensive catcher, offense coming as of late, and a terrific young man.
A ball and a strike. Felt like the Diamondbacks had all the momentum in this one when they scored 3 in the last of the 7th to tie. And then Mark Reynolds sapped all that emotion from the building the very next half inning with a 2-run homer, his 2nd of the game. Murphy to left. Oh, could it be on his birthday? Not so after the diving grab in left field. Andrew Stevenson came into left field after pinch hitting and makes, for the time being, a game-saving grab.
Oh, and this, Alex had the reaction right off the bat. I mean, you knew this was going to be something, whether it was going to leave the yard, go off the wall. Good jump by Stevenson, knowing where he's at the wall, making the jump. And it was quick, too. It was like 3 seconds off the bat. He made the grab.
A loud second out. And now it'll be up to David Peralta as the last chance for Arizona tonight. Ahmed runs undeterred, and he'll go back to first on the foul ball.
Diamondbacks very aggressive in this ninth inning. All 4 hitters offering at the first pitch. Unusual when you're down by 2.
You know, just to reset, the Diamondbacks began this series having not lost a series all year. And not only have they lost this one, their first of the season, they are a strike away from being swept in a 4-gamer.
Well, there's been so much kind of talk here in and around Arizona about the lack of offense, but you kind of got to tip your hat a little bit who these guys have faced the last few days. Max Scherzer, pretty decent pitcher. Steven Strasburg. And so there's a little bit of that too, where yes, the bats aren't as hot as you'd like them, but they face some good dudes going up against them.
Doolittle's 0-2 home. Yeah, this is more a Nationals story, the 4-game sweep in my mind, than it is a Diamondback story. Because the heavy favorites in the NL East on opening day seem to have gotten their swagger back in the last couple of weeks. And they've done it without some of their stars who are still on the mend. Harper has certainly erupted here tonight, starting to show flashes of his old self after a rocky couple of weeks. And all is right in our nation's capital. Sean Doolittle shuts the door on a 4-game sweep in the desert. Mark Reynolds, one of the Washington heroes tonight, the former Diamondback, with a pair of home runs, including the 2-run shot late that was the difference.
16 pitches, 16 fastballs, and great emotion from Doolittle.
Diamondbacks are red hot. They'll go home to take on the Yankees on Tuesday with a full head of steam tomorrow on ESPN. Monday Night Baseball, Tampa Bay and Kansas City at 7 Eastern. The Nationals defeat the Diamondbacks 6-4 tonight. For Alex Rodriguez, Jessica Mendoza, and Buster Olney, Matt Vasgersian saying goodnight from Chase Field. Let's send you to Sports Center. John Buchagras and Steve Levy are due up next. All Nats in the desert this weekend after a 6-4 series finale and 4-game sweep. Sports Center is next.